Well, look where we are today with my good friend Congressman Louie Gohmert of the great state of Texas. Louie, you know how I know it's Texas?
How's that?
The blood is on the bottom.
That's the blood's on the bottom. Like it was at the Alamo.
We're going to have a good conversation today on America, right?
Eric, it's always good when I get to talk to you.
Good stuff. We'll see you soon. So let's talk a little bit about the news of the day. This op-ed, this anonymous op-ed in the New York Times by an alleged senior Trump administration official.
I think anonymous is the wrong word. I think cowardly is a more descriptive.
Okay, so the New York Times went out of their comfort zone and printed an anonymous op-ed. They usually don't do that for good reason, right?
Yes, because it was bashing Trump. So that is dead smack in the middle of the New York Times comfort zone to be knocking around Trump. So maybe it was out of their comfort zone to do an anonymous op-ed, but they were more than comforted by the content bashing Trump.
If it's not a senior Trump official, New York Times is in hot water for printing that. But where's the motivation?
In hot water with anybody. The left loves them. Anything they do to bash Trump, they'll get accolades from the no-brainers that support what they do in attacking Trump. But I think the person should be found, should be fired, and if there were any violations of the law, it should be prosecuted. But in the meantime,
there's really no violation. It's their First Amendment right to speak, no?
Well, yeah, there's a First Amendment right to speak, but there's also laws against revealing executive privilege, classified. It doesn't not just classified, but there are other things that the executive branch has the privilege, and the president's the one that can, exercise it. And so there may be some breaches there, but this has been a big problem, not only in the White House, but also in the Justice Department, in the FBI, not as much in the intel, but there are some there that want to bring down this president, just like people leaking from the intelligence community under George W. Bush really did a lot of damage to him.
All right, I think of James Comey leaking, admittedly leaking information to a professor friend of his who leaked to the New York Times. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how that's not illegal.
It is. It is illegal. And James Comey apparently had committed a number of crimes that hopefully someday, when somebody besides Mueller is in charge, and somebody besides Rosenstein that's more interested in justice than just us, then we will get some justice. But unfortunately, there are too many at the Justice Department that believe Rosenstein is simply trying to help President Trump and trying to help the Attorney General, when those who support Rosenstein, and I'd say Rosenstein himself, they wouldn't mind seeing Sessions fired, and then Rosenstein becomes acting Attorney General. And, Lindsey Graham last week had said he is open to revisiting the AG issue after the election.
That idea. You know why? Because then you get a real legitimate conservative senator in South Carolina instead of Lindsey Graham.
Well, Lindsey is the one who had said previously, if Trump fires Sessions, we will not have another confirmation hearing during this term.
Unless it's his own confirmation.
But keep in mind what that meant was, if President Trump fired Jeff, then we have Rosenstein as the Attorney General, acting Attorney General, for 2.5 years. And
I can't imagine Lindsey not walking that back, especially if he's going to be
that's what he's doing this week, is walking it back.
You can see it. You can feel all of a sudden some of his stances started to move a little bit from right to center, where he usually was, throughout most of the
let me
say,
Trump
Eric, candidates.
And I haven't heard anybody else point this out, but last week, the FBI floated again a prior statement that we found no evidence of Hillary Clinton's server being hacked. Well, we know that. They had said that before. They were not the ones that found it. It was the Intel community's Inspector General, Chuck McCulloch's office, that found it, and Frank Rucker is the one that went over and told the director of counterintelligence at the FBI, a guy named Peter Strzok, perhaps you've heard of him, and he told Strzok, look, we have 100%, we're certain her server was hacked.
I mean, that's accepted knowledge now.
It's not by the FBI.
Well, I mean, they're parsing words. They're saying we didn't find it, but it was clearly,
exactly.
It's clear. And not only
that omission was fraudulently deceptive. It's a slap at the intel community. It's a slap by Christopher Wray at this president, and it's unbecoming the director of the FBI who's supposedly trying to clean it up. I think it's an indication Wray needs to go. We need somebody in there that's going to clean it up.
Chris Wray has delivered the truth, but not the whole truth. And nothing but the truth.
And it's fraudulently deceptive. And if I were back as a judge and a lawyer like that came in and made that statement, the FBI found no evidence of her server being hacked and left it there without explaining, but the intel community found it, then I would consider that a fraud upon my court, and he would answer for it.
Not necessarily is going to change anything going forward.
It's just an indication of
except for the obvious, that this is the Intel Committee. It's the FBI charged with investigating U.S. crimes, high crimes and misdemeanors. Are they biased against Donald Trump?
Of course. Now, not everybody, and I hear from FBI agents.
The top is biased, cut the snake off of the head.
That's right. But I heard from another FBI agent just yesterday of how much they appreciate the fact that we're trying to expose the snakehead here in Washington at the FBI. These agents across the country, if they'd done a fraction of what Peter Strzok did, or Bruce Orr, or any of these people, they would have been out on their ears and probably would have been prosecuted.
Do me a favor, explain to our audience where the implication of Bruce Orr getting involved in the dossier and some of the things that were surrounding. What did he break any laws?
I would say that he did. He certainly broke a lot of FBI protocol and regulations, but I think that all of these people that were involved in trying to disrupt and discredit and actually reverse a proper election, whether you want to call it a civil war, a coup d'etat, treason.
So
there are a number of names you could give to it, but they're all outrageous.
Congressman, you're alluding to what our top story was. Is this new New York Times op-ed from within the Trump administration, high level, part of that inside coup d'etat that may be taking place, deep state, let's call it that?
Well, I think you will find connections between whoever wrote that and people like Comey and Bruce Orr and Strzok and others that collaborated to try to bring down an elected president. They're trying to take us into third world territory, and they may be successful, but because we don't have enough people with the courage of their convictions.
So my crack staff put together the odds on. There's actually betting sites that are putting odds on who is the most likely candidates to have written that op-ed.
Oh, really?
You know who's top of the list?
No.
Vice President Pence.
Mike didn't do that. Okay. I just feel 100% certain Mike didn't do that.
All right. Well, he's I
guess I'm supposed to call him Vice President.
2 to 2 odds right now. Or 2 to 3 odds even.
Really? Is that right?
2 to 3 odds top. Betsy DeVos is 2 to 1.
Wow.
Pompeo 4 to 1. I cannot see Pompeo.
I don't see Mike. Mike didn't do that.
All right. Let's move on to another topic. Supreme Court. Very quickly. I want you to hit it and quit it. Brett Kavanaugh is making it through. Is he not?
He should. Absolutely should.
Yes, he's qualified.
Yeah.
The one
I don't think we should dismiss the fact that the bullying. You know, these people that decry bullies. I was little in elementary school. I got bullied a lot. And, well, you know, the biggest bully, the one that bloodied my nose more than anybody in elementary school, somebody pointed out when we were in high school, Louie, have you noticed when you come in at quarterback, he works harder than he's ever worked in his life to protect you? And no, I hadn't noticed, but I started noticing he did. We worked things out, and we didn't need some feds come running in and criminalizing the bully in elementary school. But what you're seeing
in these hearings... Getting this straight, he was your left tackle? Your left guard?
Guard.
Your left guard. Yeah. Backside guard.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and he covered my back.
There you go.
Nobody got by him.
He can be your bully.
But the point is, the leftists that keep decrying how horrible bullying is are the biggest bullies in this country. They're bullying Kavanaugh. They're bullying his family. They're bullying everybody who has Trump as a name, everybody that's working in the Trump administration. They want to bully them and force them out. This is the most uncivilized the U.S. government has ever begun. Even in the Civil War, I don't know of this kind of bullying going on for people. I mean, Lincoln respected Robert E. Lee. He would never have set for Lee being treated like this or his family treated like this. So amongst, the most deaths in any American war, there was
we found less bullying. We found more cohesive, at least unite behind, maybe not that flag, but certainly that flag.
They hide behind it and bully.
I want to talk about, before we run out of time, I want to talk about illegal immigration as a topic. It's one that Trump likely got elected on. It's still very important to me and my audience. I spoke with Jim Jordan yesterday, and he said if he is, in fact, the next Speaker of the House or the next Republican minority leader, he will push, depending on what happens in 2018, he will push the immigration debate to the floor so that we do get some sort of wall funding. What are your thoughts on illegal immigration and Jim Jordan doing what Paul Ryan couldn't do?
Well, it's not what Paul couldn't do, it's what he would not do. And I brought this up in our House Republican conference call last Thursday. I brought it up in conference yesterday, and our leadership makes very clear through their absolute silence they have no interest in helping to fund the wall. They have no interest in helping really control the border.
I'll do the same thing. I asked Jim Jordan why.
Well,
Republicans have the White House, you have the Senate, you have the House of Representatives. This is a no-brainer. Why?
It should be a no-brainer, but the no-brainers are in control. And that's, if you go back to October of 2016, these same congressional leaders were saying Trump's going to get beat, run away from him. None of them supported the idea of the wall. None of them supported the dedication to eliminating illegal immigration. Some of them keep telling the National Chamber, yeah, we're going to get you the amnesty. So after Trump...
No, you're touching on something.
I think that's a big part of it.
I pushed Jim Jordan to come to the root cause of why this never got through.
I think that's a big part of it. We get a lot of money from...
There has to be a money tied to it. At all costs, follow the money you usually see. So House leadership, Senate leadership is tied to some sort of status quo on immigration via funding of whatever their causes are or their campaigns.
They're in favor of some kind of amnesty, whether they want to call it that or not. And they never promised
Are they in
a
favor,
wall.
or are they representing money interests that are in favor of some sort of amnesty?
Donald Trump won the presidency promising a wall, and like you talked about and immigration, controlling illegal immigration, controlling our borders. I think the wall, controlling immigration, were things that got him elected. But
get to this leadership. This is where
did not support those.
Why?
And I think it goes back to what we're saying.
Are they not conservative?
I think that there have been promises.
This is a red meat-based conservative value.
It's what kept us in the majority. It's what made Republicans Speaker and my majority leader in the Senate. But they have never embraced this. And in fact, if you go back to our election for Speaker, I challenged, I said, look, all the other candidates, whether they were opposed or not, gave speeches and gave a chance for questions. You didn't give a chance for questions because I have some important questions. I needed to know, number one, you never supported the wall. And Paul's a really decent guy, but he never supported a wall. He never supported absolute control of illegal immigration. And
I both know this. Paul became something other than a representative from Wisconsin. When he took the gavel, he represented the body.
I said, you never supported those things, and I need to know you're going to help the president do the things that got him elected. And the response was, we're getting along fine. I said, that's not my question. My question is, will you help the president get a wall built and control the southern border? And he said, look, we talk every day. I said, that's not my question. And he wouldn't answer until I was told your time's expired. He never would answer the question, and the answer is very clear. He never supported the wall. He didn't want to support the funding for it. He doesn't want to support the funding for really stopping.
He's on his way out. Good riddance, no offense, Paul Ryan. You are a decent guy, but you are a terrible
the leadership all feels the same way on this issue, apparently.
Well, so coming up in the next...
That's why I'm supporting Jim Jordan for
Congress.
Speaker.
That's what I want to get to. There are three names that keep getting floated out there. Jim Jordan seems to be bubbling to the top, and I would agree. He's told me yesterday that he was pro-Trump down the line on immigration, and for me, a guy like me, a conservative, was very concerned about that border wall. I want more immigration, but I just want more legal immigration.
Exactly.
It meant a lot to me to hear that. Kevin McCarthy is another name that's floated, and Steve Scalise, a third name that's floated.
Well, Steve has made clear that as long as Kevin's pursuing speakership, he will not.
Okay. So if you eliminate
Jim,
and Kevin was not all that pro-Trump leading into the Trump. Where is he on immigration? I don't want you to speak for him, but would he be as aggressive as Jim Jordan promised me on tape yesterday to bring the immigration debate until it's fixed to the House floor?
From everything that's been said in conference, it appears that Kevin and Paul are of one accord. It's more important that we come together and work out some kind of legalization than it is that we build a wall. And President Trump knows we don't need 2,000 miles of wall. I mean, like Big Bend National Park, if you can make it across there with all the water you'd have to carry to clear it, then I want to recruit you for our military. We don't need a wall through Big Bend, but there are areas that a wall is very important. Now, I've heard our senior senator from Texas say, look, I've talked to ranchers that don't want a wall. Yeah, if you've got 400,000 acres, you've got your own security force, you don't need a wall because people know not to cross there at your ranch. But these 300, 400, 500 acre, 100 acre, these farmers are scared to death.
Small towns on the border that are
protection.
Very fearful. Congressman Gohmert, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll join us again.
It's so good to see you.
Good to have you, my friend.
See you.
Long time.
Thank you, Eric.